Sunita Mehra, a wealthy widow longing for love, and Arjun Sen, her teenage neighbor chasing a future of promise, became entangled in a forbidden affair that spiraled from whispered secrets to a shocking death that stunned an entire community. In the heart of Pune, among winding lanes lined with old trees and colonial-era houses, stood the sprawling bungalow of Sunita Mehra. To the world outside, she was the picture of elegance and respectability. At 42, she carried herself with a confidence that came not only from her wealth, but also from the aura of mystery that surrounded her. Her late husband, Rajesh Mehra, had been a well-known businessman, respected for his sharp mind and vast real estate holdings. When he died suddenly of a heart attack, Sunita was left with everything he had built: land scattered across the city, rental properties bringing in steady income, and a fortune that set her apart from her neighbors. While many saw her as fortunate, Sunita's nights were quiet, and her days often lonely. The bungalow that once rang with dinner parties and laughter now echoed with silence. Servants moved in and out of the house, but they were employees, not companions. Relatives visited occasionally, but most of them were more interested in her inheritance than in her well-being. Sunita tried to distract herself with temple visits, charity functions, and neighborhood gatherings, but every evening when she returned to the empty house, the weight of solitude pressed against her. In her youth, Sunita had been vibrant and impulsive. She had loved expensive saris, late-night drives, and the thrill of breaking small rules. Over the years, that daring side had been buried under layers of tradition and respectability. Widowhood forced her to hide even more, as society expected her to remain solemn, restrained, and detached. But inside her, a restless fire still smoldered. She wanted to be admired, desired, and alive again. It was this hunger, hidden behind her composed smile, that would draw her toward choices she could never take back. Arjun's son grew up in the modest house next door, where life was simple and structured. His father worked in a government office, his mother ran the household with discipline, and together they dreamed of seeing their only son admitted into a top engineering college. At 18, Arjun was focused on his studies but also carried the restlessness of youth, curious about the world beyond his textbooks. From his window, he often saw the tall gates of the Mehra bungalow swing open to let in luxury cars and delivery men carrying expensive parcels. To him, that house felt like another world, rich with secrets and possibilities. Sunita noticed him long before he realized. She had watched him grow from a skinny boy playing cricket in the lane into a confident young man. When she first called him over to carry heavy grocery bags, it seemed harmless, an act of neighborly kindness. But after that, excuses became easier to find. A fuse that needed changing, a laptop that wouldn't connect to the internet, a book she wanted carried down from a high shelf. Each reason drew him into her home. Inside, Arjun was struck by the grandeur: chandeliers, marble floors, and the faint smell of expensive perfume lingering in every room. Conversations started innocently enough. She asked him about his studies, his plans, his ambitions. He listened to her stories about life abroad, her late husband's business trips, and the loneliness of being left behind. Slowly, admiration turned into attraction. Sunita, always dressed with elegance, began to blur the line between mentor and seductress, offering compliments and lingering looks that confused the teenager. For Arjun, it was thrilling, forbidden, and irresistible. For Sunita, it was the revival of her long-suppressed desires. Together, they stepped into a dangerous intimacy that neither of them fully understood. The affair might have remained hidden if not for the small-town rhythm of gossip. In neighborhoods where everyone knew each other's routines, Arjun's frequent visits to Sunita's bungalow quickly caught attention. At first, neighbors assumed he was helping her out of kindness, but when they saw him leaving late at night or spending hours inside, whispers began to spread. Some dismissed it as youthful innocence, but others suspected something improper was unfolding. The Sens, proud of their reputation, soon became aware of the rumors and were horrified. They had always taught their son to value discipline, education, and family honor. The thought of him being entangled with a woman more than twice his age, and a wealthy widow at that, was unthinkable to them. Arjun's parents confronted him sternly, demanding that he stop visiting Sunita altogether. They feared not only for his future, but also for the shame the scandal could bring upon their household. Yet, the more they insisted, the stronger Sunita's hold on him became. She knew he felt the pressure and used it to bind him closer, showering him with gifts that his family could never afford: branded shoes, a sleek watch, expensive headphones. More than the material offerings, she promised him a life free from ordinary struggles. She hinted that her fortune could one day be his, and that she had the power to smooth his path into prestigious universities. Arjun found himself torn. He respected his parents and feared the disgrace, but Sunita's world was intoxicating, filled with luxury, attention, and a dangerous kind of love he had never experienced. For Sunita, it was no longer simply affection. It became obsession, a refusal to lose the one person who filled the emptiness of her lonely mansion. The tension tightened, and the affair grew reckless, pulling both of them toward consequences neither imagined. Arjun's breaking point came quietly, without drama at first. After months of sneaking around, lying to his parents, and living with the weight of rumors, he realized the affair had no future. His college entrance exams loomed, and he feared that one scandal could destroy every opportunity ahead of him. He decided to end things, convincing himself that Sunita, though passionate, would eventually understand. But Sunita was not prepared to be abandoned. For her, Arjun was not just a fleeting romance. He was the cure for her loneliness, the fire that made her feel alive again. The idea of losing him sent waves of panic through her heart. When Arjun stopped visiting, Sunita grew desperate. She sent message after message, alternating between pleading words and angry threats. She reminded him of the gifts, the promises, the secrets they shared. At last, she insisted he come over one final time, swearing it would be just to talk. Hesitant but unable to refuse, Arjun agreed. On that fateful night, he walked into the bungalow, unaware it would be the last time. Behind the closed doors of the marble-floored bedroom, the tension snapped. The discussion turned into heated shouting, their voices carrying through the otherwise quiet street. Arjun demanded freedom, while Sunita accused him of betrayal. She threatened to expose everything, claiming she would ruin his reputation and his parents' peace. Overwhelmed by fear and anger, Arjun tried to leave, but Sunita blocked his way. In the struggle, she grabbed at him, and he shoved her aside. She stumbled backward, her head striking the edge of the marble floor with a sickening thud. Silence followed. Arjun froze, staring at her motionless body, the torn fabric of her sari scattered around her. By morning, the secret affair had ended in a death that would shock the entire community. The discovery of Sunita's lifeless body sent shockwaves through the neighborhood. Servants who found her early that morning described the scene with trembling voices. Jewelry scattered across the floor, wine glasses on the bedside table, and the unmistakable signs of a struggle in the lavish bedroom. Police sealed off the bungalow, and soon the entire street was lined with curious onlookers whispering theories. To investigators, it was immediately clear that this was no simple accident. The bruises on her arms, the broken bangles near her body, and the overturned furniture painted a picture of violence. Detectives began piecing together her final hours. It did not take long for Arjun's name to surface. Neighbors spoke openly about his visits, and rumors about the affair came tumbling out. When police pulled CCTV footage from a shop across the street, they saw Arjun entering the bungalow late that night and never being spotted leaving until much later. Forensic tests revealed his fingerprints on the glass of wine and on the door handles inside her bedroom. Confronted with the evidence, Arjun broke down and admitted to being there. He told investigators that Sunita had become uncontrollable, that she had threatened to destroy his life when he tried to end things. He insisted he never intended to kill her, that he only pushed her away in desperation. Yet the severity of the head injury raised doubts. The medical examiner reported that the force of the fall was strong enough to suggest a violent push, not just a careless shove. For prosecutors, the case was clear: a crime of passion born from an affair that should never have begun. For the defense, it was the tragic mistake of a young man trapped in a relationship he could not control. The stage was set for a trial that would divide the town. The trial became the most talked-about event in Pune, drawing crowds to the courthouse every day. Reporters from local newspapers filled the front rows, scribbling notes and speculating about motives. while neighbors who once whispered gossip now stood as witnesses, reliving the scandal in open court. The prosecution painted Arjun as a cunning teenager who had manipulated an older woman for her wealth. They argued that when she became too demanding, he silenced her in cold blood. They highlighted the expensive gifts he had accepted and his sudden change in lifestyle, claiming it proved greed was his true motive. The defense, however, told a different story. They described Arjun as a vulnerable young man, pressured by an obsessive widow who had used her money and influence to lure him in. They insisted he acted out of fear when she threatened to ruin him and his family, and that her death was the result of a tragic accident, not a calculated murder. Each side presented witnesses, friends, neighbors, even experts in psychology, trying to sway the jury's emotions. When the verdict was finally delivered, the courtroom fell silent. Arjun was found guilty, not of premeditated murder, but of culpable homicide. The judge acknowledged the complexity of the case, but ruled that Arjun's actions directly caused Sunita's death. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as his parents broke down in tears. The scandal left deep scars on the community. Some blamed Sunita for crossing boundaries. Others condemned Arjun for taking advantage of her loneliness, but most were haunted by how quickly desire and secrecy had turned deadly. The Mehra bungalow, once a symbol of wealth and grandeur, became a chilling reminder of a love story that ended in ruin, forever etched into local memory.